Hello, everyone. This is Kohalu. I have been cosplaying for 15 years or so,
Oh,
more or
wow.
less. Yeah, I have been in many competitions. I've judged competitions. Um, I have been around the block.
And I am Lilifay. I have been cosplaying in the Northern California cosplay community since 2014. I have judged several cosplay competitions as well as traveled to the East Coast to attend conventions and judge there as well. And I really like props.
Yeah, we sort of specialize in props, specifically 3D printed
Yes,
props,
3D printed
but
props.
we've done
We've been around the block.
wings,
We've
we've
done
everything,
foam, Warbler, all that stuff.
animatronics.
Animatronics.
Uh,
And we have with us as our interviewer.
Hi, guys. My name is Alari or Rumbulon Cosplay. I've only been cosplaying a couple of years, but I have a lot of questions and I'm going to learn a lot in this panel.
and we hope you do too.
Yay, we hope you do too. Though we might ramble.
We're definitely gonna ramble.
We're definitely gonna ramble.
Without further ado, what's our first question? Let's dive right in.
Alrighty. Our first question is, do you need to create your props and costumes with the most expensive and high quality stuff in order to be seen or have a favorable response from judges?
Absolutely not. So I literally made my first cosplay out of pieces that I pulled out of the junkyard, and I was totally broke. And I had no access to anything like Warbler or stuff to make armor or even, well, I mean, 3D printing wasn't, a big thing when I started around 7 years ago.
Yeah, in context of a cosplay competition, it actually doesn't matter what you make your cosplay out of at all, so long as you have a good final product, because that's really what the judges are looking for, is how good it looks in the end and what you've done with what you can do. Because you can make armor out of cardboard, Worbla, 3D printing, foam, paper, so long, craft foam, you know.
Craft foam, EVA foam. That was the big one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what really matters is, did you get the silhouette right? Do you
The colors.
did the colors right? What it's made of? Because the whole concept of this is to whatever you're whoever you are, whatever you're doing, is to look like something else. So whatever you can transform into that final piece is totally relevant. It'll work.
Okay. How much of a difference does 99% versus 100% made by me make? Example, if I get help from my dad on my articulating wings, would that make the judges think less of me slash lessen my chance of placing? Credit to him and specifics on what he would have done would be listed in the build book and I would tell the judges.
I personally would not mark down somebody from getting help from a family member for making their cosplay.
Yeah, in most instances, like when you are entering as an individual, that actually means yourself plus your partner plus potentially family members. Um, we most competitions will consider that as a single unit, uh, as opposed to like I'm a part of like a cosplay team. Like I commissioned this part from this guy, and then I had someone else do the painting on that. It's like if you keep it to yourself, your partner, that counts as yourself essentially in cosplay competitions.
Yeah, I think the 99% made by you rule was literally made because most cosplayers aren't sitting around cobbling shoes.
That's very true.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot easier if you hand make the cosplay, but you can just go to like, even like the thrift store and get like shoes that look like that because like not a lot of people are really eyeballing the shoes unless the shoes themselves are like a massive part of that
Yeah.
character. Otherwise, just go on eBay and you buy the shoes, because I don't know anybody who's like making their own like shoes like from scratch. That's actually what Warbler is supposed to be used for.
Yeah, that's actually
Making
what I'm starting
shoes.
to learn as well. I ordered a bunch of supplies from I Make Shoes to like It basically comes with like the heels separate and like some of the structure things, and then you put it all together. That's actually something that I'm starting to learn with a couple of my next builds. So
We found the person who makes the shoes.
Yeah, Warbler and
Yes.
Yeah, Warbler and Bondo. Well, actually, the precursor to Warbler, it's a German name. Like it was used for shoes, and then the really strong, particular contact cement barge. These were all shoe stuff.
Barge. Oh.
it's so cool.
It
Oh my god, it
smells so
stinks so
bad.
bad.
I know. Oh man, that's so bad.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Should
Yeah,
we-
in
all right.
cosplay, like there are just so many things that were originally for another purpose that were then brought into costume making.
We use a lot of stuff for cars.
Yeah, like filler primer, spot putty,
To fix dings and dents.
yeah, dings and dents will
Yeah.
also clear out your and make really smooth your armor.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'll go to like a hardware store and I'll get like a bunch of stuff, and the guy will be like, "So what are you making, young lady?" And I'm like, "Cosplay. I'm doing armor."
Yeah.
All right, next question. Okay, so who gets a credit for a cosplay? The cosplayer who spent months in the gym to look the part and also applied their own intense full body makeup and full face and horns prosthetic, or the fabricator of the full cosplay who spent months building and painting the armor, along with creating the guns that had lights, sounds, moving parts. Who gets the recognition and or prize when a cosplay is a team effort?
So I think we've seen this several times. A lot of the people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of the people that enter in BlizzCon are usually part of, right? Like a lot of people make the costumes.
Yeah, most people make their own costumes, but this question is kind of riffing on the classic like armor versus sewing, which is going to be judged better in the competition, which you like if you want to win, do I make a sewing cosplay or do I make an armor cosplay? And to that question, it kind of you really need to trust that the convention staff has picked good judges who are very well rounded, at least between all the judges. So like not everyone is going to be a master of everything. There are some cosplayers who specialize in cloth. There's some who specialize in armor or props. So you want to have a lot of advanced perspectives on this for them to know what is actually like hard and a good demonstration of skill in a constructive aspect. Because what this kind of is getting towards is like I want to win, and so like do I make something really flashy that is not necessarily hard to make? Versus like there's a lot of things in cosplay and costume construction that are difficult to do, and the end result is literally invisible because that's the point.
Yes.
Like a lot of advanced techniques, especially in sewing, because if your judges ask you like, "May I see your seams? Can I see the inside?"
That's one of your favorite thing to ask people.
Yeah,
When you're judging, like, oh, flip it over, and then they're like,
yeah, because like if your judges ask that, then you can kind of be more. Then you know it's more legit, because they want to know the innards of like, does your cosplay look as good on the inside as on the outside? Because
Or is
that
it held up with safety pins?
yeah, because that is a better demonstration of skill. Than otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah, these are not our cosplay. These are not our competition cosplays.
yeah, I mean, you never know.
I have the size of the safety pin to my bra right now because I didn't.
Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, I had to pin it in the back.
Yeah, so back to the original question of like, would you count a cosplay that like you worked really hard on your body for? Like, so personally, I've done this before. So I think second BlizzCon, I like worked out for half a year. I lost like 20 pounds I wanted to be ripped. I'm so much more ripped now. I should not have done that. But yeah, and then I did the full body paint, blah 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 blah. But
didn't someone do the body paint for you?
Yeah, I had friends who did the body paint. But I also did like my own prosthetics and blah blah blah. And to that question is, it depends. Like you need to trust your judges to have a very broad perspective on what is difficult, what looks good, to judge what cosplay is better than another.
But
Because
who gets the credit?
so like if you're paying someone else to do parts of your cosplay, then as a judge, I would not consider that to be your craftsmanship, because like that is a commission. So like that's kind of, we're gonna like discount that particular part of the cosplay and just focus on everything else that you did yourself and with your team. Because once you start paying other people to do it, then that's not your craftsmanship. That's not really like,
That's a commission.
yeah, that's a commission. That's essentially pre-bought, which can be fine.
It's kind of a hard question.
Yeah, it's totally fine to like have parts of your cosplay commissioned, or like pre-bought, but you do need to be clear about what you had done by other people, what you changed, because like our business is selling 3D printed props, and we just sell the kits.
Well,
So
she's wearing it.
yeah, like your horn, right there.
That is our horn, but she painted it.
I just painted it.
Yes,
Yeah.
she painted
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but like if you did the sanding, if you did, the filling, the painting, then that is your craftsmanship.
Yeah,
Which,
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
My stepmom is a judge. I've worked with her throughout like a couple of conventions, and she's gone over some of the processes. For Wizard World Comic Con, I think in 2019, she had an instance where someone got really upset in the contest because he didn't win or even take a place at all, and he had it was a really good cosplay, but he didn't make any of it. So I feel like
Oh.
yeah. And it's like, yes, the person spent a lot of time on that cosplay. They made it, it looks great. Like the mask moved. It was an Iron Man cosplay. The mask
Oh,
moved and everything.
yeah.
But it wasn't you that did it. We can't, the judges can't give a place to you if you didn't make it, when all these other people spent years on theirs making it, and they're in the competition right now. So you can
Right,
always
yeah.
compete. Yeah. You can always compete with something that wasn't made by you, but it's not a guarantee that you'll place.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
again, there are different types of competitions too.
Yeah.
Because there are some cosplay competitions that don't care. Like there's craftsmanship competitions, and then there's just masquerade, who gets the
Who do
best,
you like the best?
yeah, who gets the best audience reaction. And
There's
these,
an award for that, actually. Yeah.
typically there will be,
It was like audience favorite award.
Yeah, crowd favorite, judge favorite. There's a few of those depending on the competition.
Yep.
Even in craftsmanship competitions, there will usually be a separate category for those cosplays that like you just kind of want to show off something that other people do, and it's super awesome and cool, but like it's not a craftsmanship award. So
I also
there's
feel like it really, sorry.
yeah,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
I also feel like it really depends on the convention and the competition itself as well. Like I would not go to like C2E2 with something that somebody else made.
No.
Oh, God.
It's like if
No,
it's like a
no.
smaller con, yeah. Like if it's a smaller size con, like maybe not like too teeny tiny, but if it's a decent sized con, the bigger ones tend to be really more attentive to that kind of stuff, like Wizard World Comic Con. Like they're not a huge competition, but they kind of are in the same way, and they do a lot of crowd favorite judging as well.
Yeah.
But it also really depends on the competition, so always look at the rules.
Right, like some competitions are like craftsmanship exclusive, like BlizzCon, C2E2. A lot of the bigger name ones, Anime Expo.
Yep.
Fanime.
Fanime.
Yeah.
Fanime. And then there's conventions that we've gone to that have been like in a mall.
Yeah.
And it's just everybody just
they just don't care.
yeah, they're just like,
Wow.
everybody cheer for your favorite, and that's how we'll judge. Yay!
Yeah, and sometimes like
As long as it's fun, though. I mean,
and
you
sometimes
wanna have
like
fun.
there's a category of like judged and then just walk on.
Oh, I forgot about it. It's been
That's
so
true.
long.
That's true.
Yeah, so like a lot of times if you just want to be a walk on and not be judged, like you're not in the running for an award, but
You want to
you'll-
show it off.
yeah, you'll still be on stage.
Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
on stage.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I forgot
Are we
about
done with this
walk-on.
question? What is the most difficult thing about getting started with working on a cosplay?
I think, well, first off, finding which cosplay you want to do. You know, like, you might have a lot of things that you want to do to get, like, started on, and then it's like, which one do I want to do, the most? And then you start thinking about, what materials will I need for this?
Your budget.
Your
financial
budget,
situation.
yeah, and your budget.
Yeah, like you need to pick a good one for your purposes. Like, do you want to like, or rather, like, is it going to be like were you invited into a big group? In which case, like, you know the character. There's not like your pool of choices is quite limited. So then at that point, it's just like, how do I make this cheaply, and still look good? Whereas if the purpose is like for a competition, like you want to pick a cosplay that has the capacity to win, right? So that means that even if you don't necessarily like the character, you want something that will be able to show off a breadth of skills, because doing well on armor, great. Doing well on sewing, great. Doing well on armor and sewing, ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it's just-
I feel like a lot of stuff depends on the con because you have to be careful and look at the rules. I have a lot of competition pieces right now that aren't specific animes, like a lot of My Little Pony things, for example. And some cons don't allow like English American cartoons. It has to be like a more Western thing, like
Interesting.
Eastern
Actually,
thing.
that is a rule at Fanime's Masquerade that
Yeah.
is constantly overlooked, is that it's supposed to be from, like, an anime. It's in the rules. You
Yeah.
can check.
a lot
Nobody
of
follows
cons don't
that.
We didn't give a shit.
No. No one follows that.
Yeah, so
Um,
that'll come into play too, because if you don't fit the theme or, fit the rules or whatever, you're probably not gonna place, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we talking strictly in, like, a masquerade sense for choosing a cosplay, or just, like, in general? Because if it's just in general, there's something that I think a lot of people should consider, but kind of forget about, myself included, which is weather.
So I feel like, I guess it's kind of both, because when you first pick the cosplay you wanna work on and you wanna start getting on it, you need to, plan, kind of make a soft plan, like, okay, do I just wanna make this cosplay to wear to a convention, or do I want to compete with it? And if you want to compete with it, when do I want to debut it? What convention will I compete at it with? And then you'll need to center that around the cosplay, because, you can't just make one cosplay and take it to every convention, because one, that's sandbagging and that's illegal. Two, sorry. Two, not all competitions or conventions will really accept that, depending on the character and whatnot.
I don't like that either. Just yeah, that is sandbagging. It's like we understand that you spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort on your super awesome cosplay, but you've already won somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So don't bring that here.
Right. But I mean, in general, how do you get started is really just pick the character first. That's the first thing, is pick the damn character. Oh, sorry. Okay. For Masquerade, is it better for judging if I'm intricate? Oh my God. Is it better if I'm intricate in the small details, or is it better to focus on sewing at a distance?
Intricate.
Like small details, like flip your seams over, Mr. Seams.
Yeah, well, okay, you want to do your costume as well as you can, and it needs to look good both from afar and close up. For regular cosplay, photo shoots, 10-foot roll, easy. That means if it looks good from 10 feet away, you're solid. But when you're talking to people who will
Get up and look at you.
get up and look behind your cosplays,
Lift up
Uh,
your skirt, maybe.
It happens.
yeah, like, then yeah, be you want to construct at a higher level. So a tip on that is that you want to constrict the scope of your cosplay to something that you can do really well. So that is to say, it is better to have, say your character has a lot of weapons. It's better to make one prop really, really well than to make two props average, or three props mediocre,
Yeah.
or four props not well.
Are you talking about Jinx? Because that's
Or
good.
Scarlet in her Heaven's Wheel armor, she's got like 100 swords, which first of all, no one's made all 100 swords, but it all, yeah. I mean, like, and that's the thing about competitions that I have friends that rant on is like, or when they get confused, is that like, they pour so much blood, sweat, and tears into, for example, like the corset maybe, and then none of that gets seen at all because so much of like this the sewing and what seam to use is on the inside, especially if you make your own petticoat.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knows when they're watching the competition if you made your own petticoat or not, only the judges, but that will potentially give you a couple extra points too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of times, the winner is not determined by who made their costume the most perfectly, but who made the least mistakes.
That's
Because,
true.
like, at a high level, like, it's like, everyone did everything correctly, right? A lot, in the competitions, eventually, like, at the highest level, all the top competitors have been doing this for a decade. So, the judges oftentimes are actually just being really nitpicky about, like, you could have done this better or that better, and like that will ultimately determine like who is the winner, like, because the winner is the one who did it perfectly, as opposed to like you could have done this little detail better. So it's better to do a simple cosplay really well than a complicated cosplay average, if you
Right.
want to win.
Yeah.
So, what is the one thing you can see on an otherwise well done cosplay that makes you go, "Oh, come on"? For example, near perfect cosplay with an unstyled wig.
Oh man. See, I don't know because I think this is an unpopular opinion, so I'm just gonna like I don't know if I should give a disclaimer, but like there were a lot of people coming in as masters with just their armor was like hot glued and it was melting off.
Oh no, I would be
Yeah.
so embarrassed if like my armor was
Yeah.
just falling off or even just falling apart in general. That is so embarrassing.
Yeah,
I
and like
can't.
that's not necessarily like a wrong thing to do because some people, they don't have access to Bard. All they have is like, hot glue or something else that, something better than hot glue. But it's like, if the convention is hot and you've been waiting all day and then by the time you get in there and it's like literally separating, I don't know. But like at the same time, I feel like that's not the contestant's fault,
Well,
really.
you need to be accurate in your judgment of yourself and your skill level, because a lot of the contestants who came in at the Masters category had only been cosplaying like a year or two. And so, like, while their cosplay was very ambitious, and it would have done quite well in a lower category.
Oh yeah, a lot of people that we saw, they would have just straight up won if they had been in a lower category. We actually only had maybe like 5 people in novice last time we judged, and everybody entered in master.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and
So
like,
we're forced to judge them as masters. So when I see stuff that is like falling apart, literally melting off, I'm just like, I don't fault you for it, but what are you doing?
yeah,
Yeah.
like if they had entered as a journeyman, winner.
Yeah, they would have won.
Right.
But since you're entering as masters and we have to judge you, so like a judge can up you from like beginning to journeyman to masters if we think that you're that good. But if you enter as masters, we're not going to insult you by putting you lower. But that also means that we have to judge you against all the other masters, which is a lot higher bar.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I understand that sometimes you hit that con crunch and you don't have time. Using the example in the question, sometimes you don't have time to style a wig, but at the same time, if you're in an advanced or master's category, you should. Like, you should really try to make that a priority. Even like some styling to make it look somewhat similar, because as a master's, that's kind of something that should be expected.
Yeah. At the beginner and journeyman categories, we will be a lot more lenient.
Oh yeah.
But then
Yeah,
when
for
when you're talking about masters, you got to be on your A game.
Sewing skills versus effects/prop skills.
Okay. So me personally, I am the type of person who I will buy a cosplay pre-made, or at least some of it pre-made, but I will completely hand make the prop and then have all the attention be on the prop. So for me, I like props that stand out. I like it. You can amaze me with a prop sometimes more than you can amaze me with your seams. I'm not like a seam. I'm not gonna be like under there looking at your seams. That's him. But you can impress me with that smooth finish. I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like it also, yeah, it just a lot of people don't really understand, which I didn't know this until I started looking into competitions either. But like a lot of people don't realize that it's separated from most conventions. There is an armorsmith category and there is a sewing category. So if not everything is for everyone. If you don't have a skill set in armor making, don't make an armor. You can still compete in the needlework and still do really good.
Right. And this is kind of related to what the judges are, because if you're like, usually you won't actually know who the judges are before you compete.
But you should research them before.
Yeah, if you can do. And it's kind of a fraught thing if you're trying to make your cosplay to appeal to particular judges, because like, as someone who kind of specializes in wings and 3D props, I have a very critical eye about them, and if you don't make your wings well, or if you don't make your 3D props well, then at least I, in my heart, will be judging you a little bit more harshly than if you made it out of foam, perhaps.
Yeah.
I try
Sometimes
not
it's
to be,
better,
but
like if you have a prop or something that you're working on and you just can't get it to look right, or it keeps failing, sometimes it's better to just leave it out instead of force yourself and then you compete with something, or even just show up to the
yes,
con.
exactly.
If you feel embarrassed, if you feel embarrassed by something or you just can't get it right, leave it out.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you judge craftsmanship if you recognize someone from the community?
Poker face. Poker face. I have a lot of friends that compete. They walk in, they see I'm the judge, they freak out. I act like I don't know. Like, if you come into our judging room, I'll act like I don't know you.
Yeah, it's actually not necessarily. It will not help you to know the judges personally.
There's some people that think that if they're friends with the judge,
oh no,
they will win. But no, that's not.
Or rather, like, if I've known you and you're my friend and you're entering a competition, like, I have knowledge of your years of craftsmanship, all the cosplays you've made, so I'll be like, this is looking good, but I remember back in summer of 09, like, you made that prop, and this is not as good as that prop, so come on, dude, you could have done better.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like in a sense, depending on how much, because sometimes cosplayers leave certain details out of build books, which I don't recommend. Put all the details you can in your build book.
I don't recommend that either.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I, like, for example, if I were to enter a convention with you guys as the judges, since we do know each other, I would put as much in the build book as possible, because I wouldn't, either that, or no, sorry, that's not actually at all what I was trying to say. I don't know where I was going, but anyways, what I was trying to say is, I would ask you guys to like not look at my stories until the convention or something, because if you guys know a little bit more inside, I would feel, whether it affects the decision or not, I would feel paranoid as, oh my God, like they know, what day I bought the fabric, because dates are always necessary. So it's like, oh no, the pressure's on. But a good judge will not give you a better placement just because you're friends.
No, so There was I forgot which one was it, at SAC Anime, where one of our friends actually did win, I think. But I don't think anybody thought that it was like favoritism or anything, because she had a really good cosplay, So
Yeah,
we judged it fairly.
Yeah. In 2019, my father, my stepmother, and my younger sister and I all went to Fantasticon in Michigan.
Mhm.
And my little sister, she entered in like the child's category, or whatever you want to call it. And she won first place. She did all that work by herself. And the only thing I did was I helped her sew it was a Bakugo cosplay, and I helped her sew the orange X on. But otherwise, everything else she did completely herself. And when she won, because my stepmom judged, there was a girl that got I think second or third place that was throwing a fit because it's oh, the judge is her stepmom, of course she won, and it's well, yeah, but she wasn't there during the build process. She didn't help out, and she judged fairly.
Yeah, a lot of times the most flashy, best looking cosplay is not going to be the one that wins, because there is a lot of stuff that the audience just doesn't see.
So
No,
it
not
was
Sophie.
was it Alice in Wonderland?
It was a historical costume.
It was it was Dracula's Bride, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was something like that. Well, she did all historically accurate period piece patterns, even down to the underwear.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
everyone thought that, the person who did the giant build with all the lights and the heavy armor was going to win. But no, she won.
Yeah, when you... So, this person made a historical piece and made it historically, which means,
it was all hand sewn.
Hand stitching this dress. She made period accurate underwear.
Yeah.
Hand sewn. Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
No.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
So, on stage, it's just a dress. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't really stand out. It was just, a historical dress.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, she was, grand prize. Mm-hmm. She was very impressive, incredibly impressive.
A lot of stuff goes into, judging and whatnot that people don't even realize.
Mm-hmm. We're looking at your seams.
Next question. Where did I leave off? Okay. Do you think competitions have become too strict over the years for meeting certain criteria? What advice would you give new cosplayers entering the competition scene?
I think if they want to enter the competition scene and they've never done it before, they need to enter as, as novice first.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if they like the environment, because when you are in a competition, most of the time that takes up your entire convention day, at least one. And it's a lot of, standing around and waiting, and then, you see the judges, and sometimes you get super nervous. We've had several people come to see us, and they're shaking. They're physically shaking because just being around people that are gonna look at them. It's pretty hard, and some people are mean, and
Yeah,
you need to see if you like it first, and then if you're really into that sort of thing, then you can keep going, but I would encourage people to try it out, if it's something that they're passionate about.
Yeah, it can be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually been cosplaying for 7 years before I entered even my first competition, because I just didn't want to try and have a bad experience. I'm the type of person where if I compete, I want to make sure that I will win. And if I don't think I have a good chance, then I just won't enter.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have that mindset. Because in competitions, actually the backstage is where magic happens. When you are waiting in line with the other competitors and just sort of talking, that's where I have the most fun at BlizzCon, honestly. Is there's a big line to get judged, and so you're standing there for an hour and you have nothing to do but talk to other people.
I met one of my bridesmaids in the BlizzCon competition line.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, because she was behind us waiting to get judged.
Yeah.
So you never know.
And where in the world will you find as many like-minded people as yourself than backstage at a competition? Where else will you find people as knowledgeable or more about all these craftsmanship, uh, this knowledge that they have, and like you're in the same boat together, and that I think is actually where I have the most fun at cosplay competitions, is just being with the other competitors and making new friends that way.
Yeah, I think like as someone who has like witnessed a lot of my friends, because I've only competed in one in-person convention once, but as someone who's watched a lot of my friends go into these competitions and see what happens and whatnot, my honestly my biggest advice, if you have a larger, like for example, if you have wings, make it so you can take them off in the green room so you can sit instead of keeping them
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yep.
Or like armor.
Bring a comfy pair
Armor.
of shoes. Yeah, like or if you're wearing high heels, bring an extra
Oh.
pair of shoes to, wear in the green room so your feet don't hurt. Or I personally I always have water and snacks on me. Like by the next time
Yes.
an in-person convention rolls around, I plan on having an entire like a roll-away tote full of like meal replacement shakes, snacks, water, first aid if or like minor first aid if needed, but always try to have what you can on you because dehydration can really set in when you're anxious and nervous and you
Yeah.
don't want to pass out on stage.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's another thing that like I forgot to bring up is like if you're backstage all day, most of the time sometimes they don't let you go get food or snacks, Like it's not every convention, but if you're BlizzCon does it. Once you're down there in that basement, you're stuck down there. So, yes, definitely bring snacks, bring water, but just cons in general, stay hydrated. I have a rule for myself
forget to
that
eat.
if I'm walking through the convention, every time I see a water fountain, I drink water. Like you don't want to get dehydrated. Like it
Yeah.
sucks.
In actuality, when it comes down to it, you only need to be presentable in your cosplay for like 20 minutes or so of that day, which is like the 10 minutes that you're going to be judged, and then
On
right when you
stage.
go on stage. Like, all the time between then, you don't actually need to be wearing the whole cosplay.
Oh no, I think I did that for when I was judging Fanime. I didn't have my Kaiso wings on.
No.
I think I put him on right
Yeah.
before we went on stage, and then that
Yeah,
was it.
and like, I don't think I know a single like I out of all the conventions I've been to, I've never seen a single cosplayer wear the wings like while they walk around the cosplay. I've only seen them put them on stage. If wings get heavy and
They're
sometimes they're a
heavy.
little bit uncomfortable. The harness is painful. If it's heavy, you don't have to wear it the entire convention, or if the helmet is too,
Stuffy.
Yeah, stuffy.
your sight, if it prohibits your sight or whatever, you want to be able to see when you're walking around.
Do you remember when I wore Morgana and I had to take off the entire cosplay to use the bathroom?
Mhm.
That
Oh
oh
my
my god. Yeah, so wings off, skirt off, and then I kept on the bra and the wig and I literally just went in my underwear to go use the bathroom.
God.
Which also took like 30 minutes because Axe was so crowded. There's a line to use the bathroom, so I'm just standing there like in my underwear, like,
Oh
I just gotta pee. Also,
yeah,
think about
make it easy. Yep, make it easily accessible. Like my rule with because I do a lot of bodysuits and bunny suits.
yeah, think
Because
about how you're
frankly-
gonna pee.
Yeah,
That is
frankly,
a
like
thing.
my thighs are a little bit too thick, and it really hurts to like bend down or sit in like pants. So I make a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of body and bunny suits. I always have snaps at the crotch.
Yes, that is
Always.
a great thing to do. Yeah, a lot of people I notice when they're building the cosplay, they don't think about how they're gonna use the bathroom. And you need to
Yep.
think about that because you're gonna
Yep.
need to go. So yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, especially with full suits of armor, it's
Oh,
it's a lot
yeah.
to think about. And I feel like that also goes into with that previous question of, what do you need to think about when you're getting started in your cosplay? How easily accessible it is. Keep in mind, you'll probably be wearing most, if not all of this for 8+ hours a day. Make sure it's
Yeah.
comfortable, okay? If it hurts to wear it, don't freaking wear it.
Yep.
Period.
You're right.
Now, how do we feel like the other part of the question was, do we think competitions have become too strict?
No?
It depends. I mean, well, I think I'm less hardcore about it than you are. Like, again, I don't flip seams usually all the time. What's most important for me is that, people are having a good time. Like, even if they lose, I still want them to enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, or the way I understand this question is sometimes competitions will publish like a point system and try and portray themselves as like, oh, we're fair because you get points for this. This is how we're going to divide the points. Blah blah blah. And then when the judges actually get into the chair, they throw the cards away and like actually just do judging regularly.
I think we did that.
Yeah.
I think we did that, yeah. Because it's like, okay, you need to judge them 1 to 5. And I'm like, how's that going to help us?
Yeah, and then judge the creativity 1 to 5 and judge
No, you can't
this
judge it
or
like
that. And we're just like, screw this, because like with any kind of point system or like points for armor, points for this or that, like inevitably this kind of point system will prefer certain cosplays over others that we want to leave to the judges to make the actual judgments.
Yeah, so if you have like a sheet, you know, and it says like you have to judge a person who comes in all for the same stuff, like some person comes in without armor, they get 0 in armor. You know, you can't have that all be on the sheet.
Yeah, unless like they publish it a year in advance and like all the competitors are like, okay, so I need to make a cosplay that has the effects and armor and sewing
and makeup
and a prop and which is just going to be a very strange competition.
Yeah, it's just, I think, again, like, I know it sounded like a broken record at this point, but a lot of it really just depends on the competition, because, I mean...
Yeah, every con has different rules.
Yeah, I guess, like, over the years, like, the competitions probably have gotten a little bit more strict, because I'm sure back when it was first starting, I'm sure there was a lot you could or could not get away with, and, you know, I'm sure there were a lot of bad apples that ruined certain aspects for people, and now there has to be a new rule on something, and I mean, that's... Yeah, so I feel like over time, since cosplay first started, it probably has gotten more strict, but how strict the con / the judges are depends on, 1, the judge, 2, the competition.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So
and also, I feel like I feel like what the prizes will be will also,
it depends on the con.
Because if you're getting a trophy versus a certificate versus a lot of money, you don't want to make sure the competition, you don't want to make sure the winner is worth $10,000 kind of a thing. Like, does your attitude and your personality help a contestant when they're competing?
If they look like they're having fun on stage, we'll typically notice.
But it won't help.
It won't help, no.
No, we don't care.
No, we don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, by all means, when you're doing pre-judging or when you're being actually judged, don't be rude to the judges. Like, if the judge is like, hey, your scene is falling apart here, don't be a dick about it and be like, oh my god, I still worked hard on it, you know? Yeah, I mean,
if they have a bad attitude, like, we're gonna pick up on it. But if they're having fun, like, on stage, that looks cool, but it's not gonna help with the overall score. Like, I notice a lot of Deadpool cosplayers do this. Like, they will go on stage and be super extra over the top. They will, like, blast confetti. They'll come out in, like, little cars. And, like, we'll laugh, but it's not going to help the score.
Right. It helps to be in character if necessary, but
yes.
It's not always, it depends. Yeah. I guess maybe for performance competitions, it will matter, but...
Yeah. I mean, they might win, like, audience award.
Yeah.
But it won't help, like, craftsmanship.
Yeah. For us, we're not judging your attitude. We're not judging your acting. We're judging your costume.
Yes.
So long as you're not an asshole to us, just be yourself. Whatever. It won't help you either way.
Okay, what is your opinion on gatekeeping cosplays? For example, X, who has a dark complexion, wanted to do a cosplay of an anime character with a more fairer complexion. How do you respond to someone who would be against this?
I don't care what a person cosplays as long as it's done respectfully. So, like...
No blackface.
Yeah, so don't paint your skin dark. But, like... this might get a little muddy.
So this is a whole...
this is a whole panel
in itself.
Why don't we just...
Yeah, let's just move on.
Yeah, like, just don't paint your skin darker. That's all it is. Don't be like, you know that.
Yeah. Anyone can cosplay whoever they want as long as they're not racist, sexist, homophobic, etc. So,
Pretty much that. Yeah. But I think anybody can cosplay, anybody of any race, any ethnicity, anything, as long as it is done respectfully. So I know you want to move on, but I cosplayed Halle Berry's version of Catwoman a couple years ago, and I just kind of put my own spin on it. Didn't darken my skin. Nobody said anything. But I love that outfit of Catwoman. You know, say what you want about the movie, her outfit is fire. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I have that mask. Like, I have that mask for my own version of
I
Catwoman,
love
but
it.
I'm doing like a completely different style of the rest of the outfit, but I have that mask because I love that style, and it's the
I
only
love
Catwoman
it.
mask I like.
Yes. Okay, so that's our opinion on it. Just be respectful.
Yeah. So overall, there was one last thing in here. So what are your guys' thoughts on how the community has changed, and if you think there's any way to get a lot of the lost magic back?
That's kind of loaded. Well, the community's changed a lot, obviously, the last couple years, for obvious reasons. But moving on from that, I think we need to just be more respectful of maybe people that are like new to the hobby. You know, because our community is pretty open. We're in, Northern California, and we're pretty accepting, of newcomers that have never done it before. Like, you don't need to come to, like, one of our events and be in your best armor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just including more people, because there's still people that think that, like, oh, you're not a real cosplayer if you buy your outfits. And I mean,
yeah, I don't like people that are like that.
Yeah, no, but just community-wise, we need to get over that mindset. We need to accept anybody, People who don't know how to craft, people who don't know how to do makeup, people who don't know how to make armor or sew. If they're just coming in, just welcome them, Like, competition, that's a whole other world. But if you're just coming in and hanging out and trying to make, like, some new friends, and, like, you're, like, socially awkward and you're not sure, like, just being like, oh, they bought that costume. That's just going to put people off from cosplay. It's going to make them feel excluded. It's going to hurt their self-esteem. So I think as a community, that's what we should do, is be more accepting of people.
Yeah, it's kind of an artifact from back in the day when it was not possible to buy your costume. So you had to make it, you had to dye the wig, you had to do every little step because there was no, like, 2-day shipping on whatever anime costume you wanted from Amazon.
You can order Amazon Prime. He's done that before. He didn't have a costume for Friday of Anime LA, and he was like, I'll just order this on Amazon. And that's still a new thing, it's a lot more accessible. So I think the community should grow to be more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the cosplay community itself has grown a little bit more on the toxic side, which is really sad. But I mean, that's why I am like a really big advocate for mental health in cosplay and keeping up, because it can be really strenuous on your mental health, especially when you come into contact with the toxic cosplayers. And I mean, like, the one thing I will always say, no matter what, do not go up to a cosplayer at a con and go, oh, your cosplay would be perfect if only you had this.
Oh.
Chances are the cosplayer, yes. I have gotten that a few times at a convention, and it made me so upset that I had to physically go back to my hotel and take off that cosplay, and I have not since looked at that cosplay. I don't even know where it is. It might be at my mom's. I have no idea. But don't go up to a cosplayer and say, your cosplay would be better if you had this. Chances are they know you have something, and they're already really insecure about it. Don't point it out.
Yeah, like, do not say something about somebody's cosplay if they're walking around casually. Like, don't bring up any of that. Like, don't mention they could have done this better. Don't mention, that their wig is the wrong color.
It's and like, believe me, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Like, we looked at the character for like 30 hours. We know.
Yeah. Or like, if they don't have the right shoes, okay, comfort before perfection, unless you're competing. But regardless, like, or a lot of it, like, I see a lot of it come with people who don't wear contacts. A, not everyone can wear contacts because of how their eyes are.
Mhm.
B, some people, like my older sister, has a legit fear of contacts because there are some pretty bad horror stories out there. I used to be okay with contacts, and the last time I tried to put on a pair was February 2019. And I don't know what happened. I was taking care of them perfectly, but for some reason I put it in, and I was on the floor of my hotel bathroom screaming for 25 minutes, and I have not worn contacts since.
Yeah, so
You know, sometimes contacts are really sensitive.
Yeah, no, so I never wore contacts. I only started recently. But it was because like I felt like I had to because somebody would say something if I didn't.
Yeah.
That's my real eye color. I was actually talking today. Where are my contacts? And he's like, "You don't need the contacts." And I'm like, "What if I do?"
I mean, especially just for a panel that you're filming. But in regard, like, I feel like honestly, I mean, I've never been a judge, so I don't know. But I feel like if you're trying to compete, they don't really look at contacts that much, anyways,
No.
because of that.
helps.
It
Like,
helps, but but okay. So I'm not gonna look at someone's eyes in a competition unless the character has like the scleras. And this is
Right,
something
or
like
like the-
drastic.
Like a pentagram on their eye or something. Like
Yeah,
some,
like if it's something
or-
really like
Yeah.
unique, or if they have like heterochromia, the character. So if like one eye is a different color, then I'll look at it. But otherwise, like your eyes don't. I don't care. I don't care about
Yeah.
your eyes.
Or like
So-
Naruto, like you know, if you're gonna cosplay, you know, the Sharingan eye, you kind of can't do that without the contact. But
Yeah.
regardless, you know, if you know, not everyone can, and some people are afraid, and which, by the way, it is okay to be afraid of contacts. It does not
Yeah,
make you,
there was a learning
you know,
curve.
look bad or anything. It is legit a fear to have because sometimes it can permanently damage your eye.
Yeah, yeah, and like I there was a learning curve for me. I was always like, how do I get that in there? So yeah, no.
So
There-
to answer another aspect of this question in the cosplay culture, so social media is a big part of cosplay culture, and
Yep.
there is a lot of, shall I say, envy of like, I want to be a big name, I want to have big numbers, I want everyone to know me, and to that I would say like, you should really examine what you want to get out of this hobby, why you're doing it, what your end goal is here. Because, like, if it's do you want to portray the character and be kind of like an artistic fan art experience and just hang out with other fans of that particular series? Or, like, is your purpose to become a celebrity within this world? Because these are whole different worlds apart of why people cosplay and the behavior that you'll be doing during it. So like if in your heart, if your purpose is like, I want to be famous, I want to be like Yaya, I want to be the next Jessica Negri, boy, you're gonna have that is a hard road to follow.
Yeah, it's really hard to gain popularity, and like that's another thing. You know, especially right now with how Instagram's algorithm is and how much it has changed
No.
and how much it is really messing with cosplayers right now. Getting famous can be really hard, and it also a lot of that also really depends on what you want to cosplay. Like you can't cosplay a bunch of like really old characters that nobody knows about and expect to be famous. Like, you know, like yes, you can cosplay them, don't expect to be famous. Sure, you might have like you might run into people that are like, OMG, I don't see this anymore. I'm just gonna take off at this point. It's falling.
Yeah, it's
okay. I was like, it's getting lower and lower. Anyways, so
I didn't even.
it's really hard, especially with how Instagram's algorithm is. And I feel like Instagram and TikTok are the most popular apps for cosplay right now. And even TikTok is really starting to screw over cosplayers. They're banning a lot of them for no reason. So it's really hard. And this I would kind of like to dive into because I see a lot of it. I get asked this all the time. I see it all the time on Instagram. You do not have to take lewd or nude photos to be popular. Period. If you are not comfortable with that, don't do it. I have gotten comments of people telling me if I ever want to be famous, I need to sell nudes, and I'm not gonna do it. Like, if you're not comfortable with that, don't do
Oliver,
it.
don't look at me.
No, it's
He glanced over. I was like,
yeah, as you're sitting there in lingerie, but like,
that's the character.
I had an old cosplay friend. We're not friends anymore, but she actually helped me get into cosplay. And at first, she was actually really against lewd cosplay. She thought it was pointless, you know. And all of a sudden, she turned and she's like, "If this is the only way I can make money on cosplay, then I feel like I have to do it." And now she does lewd cosplays all the time, which that's fine. But you know, don't feel like you have to in order to gain popularity or in order to get
No.
money and
No.
etc.
A
Yeah,
lot of
it's really
people
sad.
a lot of people wanting to, make it big, they think that they have to go down that route. You don't have to. Don't give into that type of peer pressure. That type of, lifestyle is not for everybody, and it can
Yeah.
seriously, it can mess with you. And this is coming from somebody who did lewds for 10 years, even before Patreon was a thing. Like, you do not need to do that. You got to have you know, the mindset for that. You got to, because people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I would advise against new cosplayers to try and become social media stars. It is a ladder that you are really, really late to that kind of party. Like,
It's also just really, it can also be really dangerous in a sense because, you know, people have these images of you and sometimes your face is attached to them and it can get really dangerous. You know, people can, you know, if it falls into the wrong hands or if the wrong person sees it or something, it can, who knows, they can kind of take it far. So if you do want to get into that, I would advise really being as safe and cautious as you can.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
yeah, you need to really know what you want to get out of this and keep that in the forefront of your mind. Because if you're trying to compete with people who have been at this game for like a decade, 2 decades, and you're comparing to yourself to them all the time, that is not one, like, that's a losing battle. Two, it's like it will fuck with you.
Yeah. It'll really get into your head and like that's why cosplay in general I feel like has gotten really hard on you know your health because I do it all the time. I'll sit there and I'll make a piece for a competition and I'll just keep trashing it. I'm like, no, this isn't good enough. You know, this you know people will laugh at this or whatever. And like that's another thing. Like you just can't compare yourself to others, you know. And like I have this problem where if I come up with an idea, for example, I have an idea for a sewing needle style staff for an armor
It's a good
version of
idea.
Rarity, and like I have like been struggling with that for so long because it's never been done before. I'm like, okay, it's never been done before, that means it's a terrible idea. You know, don't be afraid to have ideas and do your own thing.
Yes,
That's
yes,
perfectly
exactly.
fine. Cosplay is a great community for that stuff. That's kind of, you know, cosplay is literally just costume play. It has nothing to do with how, you know, you have to be the best looking, you know, you have to fit the character's body type just well. If my boobs are too small, like no one cares. It's okay.
No. No, I started cosplaying just to meet people. I didn't want any of this. Didn't care about the social media. I just wanted to meet other people that played League of Legends.
Yeah.
That's why I
And
started.
that's okay too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I
do
got here.
because,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
I do
also
because it's fun to step, you know, get away from life and
Yeah.
all the hardness.
yeah, just also it's especially important to remember that the audience who likes lewds and the audience who likes craftsmanship
They're
and
totally different.
are not the same.
Yep.
So like if you want to get famous, the amount of people who like bikinis is like this much, and the amount of people who like clean seams,
yeah.
Yep.
and like, so if you want to be respected for craftsmanship within the cosplay community, you need to cater your content to that,
Mhm.
and like, don't worry about being popular on social media, because the average Joe Schmo doesn't know what a presser foot is, and they
Right.
don't care.
Yeah.
But like, that's who is on social media. So just like
Just
these
know.
are two worlds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I get how it can definitely be intimidating because it is, you know, it really is everywhere. Like, I know so many cosplayers who do lewd cosplay photography, but you don't only do what you're comfortable with. You don't have to do it to
You don't
be
need to do
popular
it.
or fit in.
Mm-mm. Only do it if you're comfortable.